Hello to all of my dreamers out there. I am the Channeling Goddess. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, hi, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. So today we are going to do a dream interpretation, okay? I do have a couple of disclaimers before we get started. Disclaimer number one, these are my interpretations of my own dreams, which means that you may hear something completely different, and you'll understand if the message is for you or not, or if you interpret this in a different way, then you are actually using this video for the intended purpose that it is meant for, right? I initially started these with the intent that people are able to maybe find their own messages that Spirit wants to give them through these dream interpretations. So if that's what you're doing, right on. Second disclaimer, if you are looking to get a specific message, it is helpful that you tap into your own intuition. And the way that I prefer to do this is by taking 3 mindful deep breaths. You want to inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 3, exhale for 5 to 6 seconds, okay? This just helps you get more in tune with your own intuition, and be able to hear the messages that Spirit actually has for you, okay? So we'll go ahead and get started. This one is a short one. There's some things in here that I'm not sure if I will say everything, because it does, I'm not gonna lie, it scares me a little bit. But I was guided to this particular dream, so I'm gonna say what I need to say. So I will say, grab your tea, your coffee, your wine, your beer, your snacks, whatever it is that you need, and get comfortable, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so it says, in this dream, there was this young Black woman who caught a ride with a man who I would call a handler of sorts. The young woman was a nomad, and the guy was dropping her off, and the others that were there, just like her, so other nomads that were just like her, saw this and they were completely shocked. They went down to the road just as the man was asking her if she needed anything else. She was looking into the bag and pulled out what looked like a oatmeal pie. She told the man as she took a bite and said, "As long as I have this, I'm good." Okay. One of the other ones says something to her, and she pulls the trophy she won out of her bag and tells them she still has bragging rights and shows them the gold trophy. I worry that they will try to take it from her, but they don't. She bends down and puts it in her bag again with something when something in a trunk beats against the wall. So like the inside of the trunk. So imagine somebody or something being inside the trunk and they're beating the walls of the trunk, okay? Okay, it says, she is paying attention but doesn't want anyone to notice. She is the kind of person who will try to free someone who is wrongfully detained. There is a white guy leaning against what looks like a bridge and says, "Let me know when you want a seat to his death." In this scenario, this person who just spoke is God. And I just saw 333 on the clock. The young woman is shocked, but the guy tells her he tells her that the guy in the trunk must answer for the 400 billion Israelites or Midianites or something called knights at the end that he killed. Okay. Off in the distance, someone asks, "How do we kill him?" Then a lady there tells them, "Oh, it's easy. You just drill a hole in his stomach and inject it with something." And something about, I wrote in here that they are near an airport. Okay. So let's start at the beginning. So in this dream, the beginning of it talks about a young woman who caught a ride with a man who seems like a handler. And the woman, she's a nomad, and he's dropping her off. And there are other people around that look like her, like not look like her, but like they're nomads as well. I feel like in this dream, Spirit is talking about how in certain situations and because I'm hearing your gift would make room for you, right? And I noticed how even though she was a nomad, the other nomads like saw her in a different light. They saw her not really completely different, but they saw her being able to do something that they didn't think nomads could do. Okay. And even in their shock, right? They were coming down, like in the rest of the dream, it talks about how they were coming down to the road, and the guy that was dropping her off was asking her, did she need anything else? Even the person who was not the nomad was trying to help her, right? But she understood, like, she specifically had like one of those little round oatmeal pies, and she was like, as long as I got this, I'm good. To me, that spirit saying, as long as you have me, as long as you put spirit first, as long as you're making sure that you're reaching out to your ancestors, as long as you're making sure that you are connecting with those who are on the other side, you're always protected. And something specifically about the oatmeal pie, the sweetness of the oatmeal pie, it reminds me of like understanding that those are on the other side. You have to be specific, and I'm seeing 555 on the clock. You have to be specific about those who you reach out to, because not all ancestors are quote unquote good ancestors for you, right? They may be good for somebody else, but they are not necessarily good for you. So you need to be careful with the ones you reach out to, but also enjoy the sweetness of life, because something like I said, that oatmeal pie is like really sweet. If you've ever had one, you know how sweet they are. But she understood how to enjoy the sweetness of life, and part of that was reaching out to the divine. Part of that was reaching out to spirit. And spirit is, to me, it was like a reminder of like, you're going to be in situations where you're going to be offered things, and you're going to be taken care of. Because think about it this way. Nomads are kind of like people who like have a certain level of freedom. I always say they have a certain level of freedom. They can go and do as they please. But in that life, there could also be like a certain type of fear, right? So if you're used to a certain type of lifestyle, you're used to living a certain way, it may be hard to live the nomad life, right? It may be hard to do something like that because you're used to like the traditional 9-to-5 job where you always have a job and you always had a house and you always had a car and blah, 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 blah. And spirit is saying to me that no matter what life I choose, I'm always going to be protected. Even if I choose to live the life of a nomad, I will be protected, right? There is a freedom that comes with trusting spirit, and spirit is asking me to lean more into the sweetness of life, but also to fully trust spirit in the things that are happening in my life. Okay. And then she takes out the gold trophy, which to me is another sign, right? She takes out the gold trophy and she tells them like, I still have bragging rights. It's because, and I want to say this, and I want to try and say it a little bit more delicately. Okay. To me, this makes me think of like her having that trophy and saying, I have bragging rights. It's almost like she's not really bragging for herself. She's bragging about how spirit always looks out for her. Or in my case, that's what this would be to me. That I'm bragging about how spirit always has my back, right? How I'm always winning, right? I can never lose because I'm always putting spirit first, and spirit always has my back. And the universe, or whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, Buddha, whatever it is that you subscribe to, right? But for me, it would be the universe or spirit, right? They always have my back and they're always protecting me, even in situations where I probably would assume that I would not be protected. I'm always being protected by spirit. So I still have those bragging rights, right? So then we hear like she's standing suddenly by a trunk, and there's like a guy banging, or a person, right? At the time I didn't know it was a guy, but they're banging on the wall of the trunk, and she's trying to keep herself together, you know, because if, like I said, in the dream, if the person is wrongfully detained, she's the type of person that will free other people, right? And the guy, the white guy that's standing against the wall, basically says, let me know when you want a front row seat to his death, right? And then she finds out that he's essentially paying for the 400, I think it was 400 billion death of other people, right? And it's something about knights. I don't know if it was Israelites, Midianites. It was something knights. That's all I remember. But the man had to answer for what he had done. He had to answer for the lives that he had taken. And in this situation, I think she knew that she could not save him, right? He was not wrongfully detained. He was not somebody that was there because he was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Essentially, he was meeting his retribution. And I think for somebody like me, I have to understand that while, how do I put this? While I do want to help other people, I cannot, and this comes out a lot in my dreams, I cannot help everyone. Certain paths are meant to be taken. Certain roads are meant to be traversed. And you cannot stop people from like going down those paths. As in the same way you cannot stop them from almost reaping the benefits of the seeds that they have sown by going down those paths. It also makes me realize that in certain situations, I won't even say certain, in most situations, justice is happening. Even if it doesn't happen in the way we personally believe it should, justice is happening, right? It is taking place. Things are going to be shifting, things are going to be changing, and justice is going to happen for those who who justice needs to happen for. I'll put it that way. And I think it's, in a way, it's almost like Spirit was trying to comfort me and let me know, like, it's going to be okay, right? This is not for you to decide what this particular punishment is, because we've already decided what this punishment is. Like, I think sometimes we can be karma, like we ourselves can bring about karma because Spirit and the universe can work through us. But sometimes the crime or the travesty, so to speak, is so big that it needs to be doled out by the universe itself, because what I can do will not compare to what the universe can do to other people who, are receiving the punishment of the seeds that they've sown. Okay. I think it's also a reminder to me to be careful with the seeds I sow in my own life, to make sure that I'm being cautious about the way I speak to myself and others, because oftentimes we don't know how one word or how one sentence can completely change how someone sees themselves, can completely change how they see others. So it's just, I think it's also a reminder to me. Then off in a distance, somebody says how we're going to kill him. And then the lady says, tells them, like, it's easy. We'll just drill a hole in his stomach and inject something in it. For some reason, this makes me think that the way they are killing this person is probably the same way he killed others. I can't speak of the drilling the hole, so to speak, but something about this makes me feel like Spirit is saying that what you give out comes back to you. What you put out into the universe comes back to you, and you need to be careful about what you say. Be careful about how you talk about your situation, how you talk about how things will happen, how things will progress, because it's like a boomerang, right? It comes back to you, and it has a way of making itself known, sometimes in the most unlikely of places, in the most unlikely of scenarios, okay? Because I would imagine this person did not willingly let themselves get caught. I imagine this was absolutely against their will. I imagine, if I had to guess, I would imagine this person thought they had gotten away with what they had done, and they were just trying to, move on and live their life after they had destroyed so many others. So I think this is a message for all of us to be careful about the seeds that we sow in other people's lives, because you don't know how one comment can completely change the trajectory of one person's life, and then they can change the trajectory of somebody else's life, because we're all connected, right? We're all connected. And I'm hearing like we're all connected in the great circle of life from The Lion King, but we really are all connected. And sometimes we don't realize how connected we are until we have those little, it's a small world type of situations where we meet somebody who, we grew up 2 doors down from and never knew that we were that close to that person, or we met them in a specific, place and didn't even know who they were, and then we meet them years later, right? It's situations like that, okay? So let's shuffle some cards and see if we can get some additional messages from Spirit. Okay. We are going to shuffle. Spirit, can we get some cards? Any additional messages for us in regards to this reading? or not reading, this dream interpretation. Okay, we have the Smith, overthinking, taking action. Oops, that was quick. We have the Painter, productivity, creation. We have the Captain. It says taking command, teamwork. Ooh. Okay, one more card, please, Spirit. Okay, then we have the Shepherd. It says celebration, family. Bottom deck energy is the Archer, biding your time, planning ahead. Okay, so your first card, or our first card, is the Smith, overthinking, taking action. For some reason, this makes me think of like when, okay, so like in the dream, we talked about how be careful of the seeds that you sow. Spirit is saying that don't be so careful that you don't take action, right? Don't be so, there's nothing wrong with taking some time to think about what it is that you want to do, but make sure that you're not overthinking it and you're so busy trying to make like the perfect decision that you don't make the right decision, okay? And then we have the Painter, productivity, creation. Something about like our creative aspirations are going to be open up. And for some of us, we may be in a creative space, or I want to say creative space. Maybe we have been on hold, so to speak, and Spirit is going to open up some doors for us. Because think about in the card we got, not in the card, in the dream, we got like she had won a trophy, right? She had bragging rights. That Spirit was always looking out for her. And I think this is a reminder to let me know, or let us know, that we need to put our trust in Spirit. That we're always going to be winning, because he even talks about creation, which to me specifically talks about Spirit as well. But to understand that there's productive movement moving forward, but something about us putting our trust in Spirit is going to open up a new picture, right? So like, I want you to look at this. You can see in this painting or in this drawing here, because when it's down like this, you can barely see how beautiful the roses are. But when you lift it up, you can kind of see the gold outline, right? Thank you, Spirit, of like these flowers, which some of them look like roses to me. But Spirit is saying that by releasing releasing your own outcome and kind of almost living like a nomad, essentially, like, you know, letting go and letting Spirit guide you fully, you're going to open up like so much more on the creative side. Your creation abilities are going to open up a lot more. And a lot of times what this means is that you're creating something that's very specific. You're creating something that is that resonates with your own soul, right? And you may have wanted to do something like this. Maybe you wanted to be like and I'm hearing like co-creator, and Spirit is asking you to be a co-creator with Spirit. But you may be a painter, you may be a writer or something like that, and you are afraid of like jumping into this fully because you don't know the outcome. And Spirit is asking us to live like a nomad a little bit. Like, I know this is specific in my life. I have a big decision that I not really need to make. I've made the decision, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little bit worried because I don't know the outcome. And I think Spirit is reminding me to trust in Spirit and know that they would not put me on a path if it was not meant for me to be there, right? And then we have the Captain, taking command, teamwork. To me, this is about Spirit just asking us to work with Spirit, right? Work with Spirit and release the outcome. Give it to Spirit, give it to the Captain, right? Let the Captain drive the ship, which in this case would be Spirit. We are co-creators, right? But allow Spirit to take command on, you know, the places in our lives where we want to move, or, you know, move forward, or something new that we want to do. We need to trust that Spirit has our back. Even if we cannot see the outcome, Spirit has our back. And then the next card is Shepherd, like the shepherd watching his sheep. and it got celebration and family. Spirit is saying that we are your family. Some of you, you may be meeting your soul family soon, but Spirit is saying, I am your family, right? I am the family that you may not necessarily be able to physically see, but my presence is always there. And something about us releasing this control, releasing the outcome, is really going to change completely like how things turn out, but it's gonna be in a good way, right? Because it talks about celebration, which means to me it feels like you're winning, right? And then the last card was the Archer, biding your time, planning ahead. Some of you, you may have been planning ahead for something specific, and you planned as far as you could go, right? There's no more planning that you can do. It's now time to let Spirit take over, right? And I think some of us are like the Archer, where we're like, okay, but if I shoot this arrow, then I can control how far it goes, and then that gives me a little bit more room, right? Because think of it like this. Let's say you get to this card, right? But you're like, well, if I shoot this arrow, I can put a string on it, and then I can go a little bit further. Like, we're still trying to control the outcome. And Spirit is saying sometimes we have to release ourselves and understand that if Spirit has our back, nothing can stop us. Nothing can shake what's meant for us, okay? Let's get a couple of cards from the Green Witches Oracle deck. Spirit, any messages? Thank you. We got 2 cards. We have Earthworm, Clarity, Remuneration. And then chamomile or chamomile, depending on where you're at. Gentleness, relaxation, sleep, which is what I probably should be doing right now. And then watering can. So it says asking for help, sharing burdens. Yeah. So like the first card we got, of course, is Earthworm, Clarity. And for me, this is Spirit talking about how sometimes we don't get the clarity that we want or think we deserve in the time that we believe we should get it. Spirit is asking us to be patient, that clarity is coming. Remuneration is coming as well. So something about waiting for this clarity, there's going to be a reward that comes with this. So be patient with yourself as well as with Spirit. And then we have chamomile or chamomile, gentleness, relaxation, sleep. Spirit is asking you to be a little bit more gentle with yourself. Like sometimes we're so pressed on seeing how things are going to turn out that we forget to enjoy the journey itself. And Spirit is asking us to relax. Spirit is asking us also, this card always reminds me of like self-care. You may love daisies as well. And you may also, some of you may want to do candle magic. I don't know why I'm getting that. But for some reason, like I'm specifically getting, if there's something that you want to do, maybe try doing some candle magic. Get you like a white candle and some parchment paper and write down your intentions on the parchment paper, and maybe read a specific passage from Psalms. You'll have to do your research on which one you want to read, but maybe that's something you've been thinking about doing. Spirit is saying this is your confirmation. But once you do this, okay, once you light this candle, like especially if you're going to do like a 7-day candle, once you light the candle every 7 days, you read the passage. After that 7 days, you have to give it to Spirit, right? It's no longer your concern. Spirit wants you to relax and let it go. And then the bottom deck energy is the watering can. So it says asking for help, sharing burdens. To me, this is confirmation about the candle work. If this is something you've been wanting to do, like you'll know if this resonates with you. If it's not something you want to do, leave it here. But Spirit is saying this candle work is you asking for help, sharing your burdens with Spirit. Stop trying to carry it all on your own. Stop trying to figure it out yourself, because it's not for you to figure out. This is for Spirit to come in and help you. It's almost like Spirit is putting you in this situation so that you can see that they want to help you and that Spirit can come through for you. Okay. So I would definitely say, like I said, if you're thinking about doing the candle, the candle magic, I would definitely suggest it, because you're getting confirmation to me in this reading to do so, because I didn't even realize this was saying ask for help and sharing burdens. Spirit is asking you to share that burden with them and stop trying to figure it out on your own. Okay. So this is all of the messages that we have today that Spirit wants to give us in regards to the dream interpretation. I thank you so much for staying all the way to the end, and I will see you next time in your next video. Bye.